It's 23rd of February 2026. Um, I feel as though the last year of my life experience, I've lived like 50 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes in one. I feel like I've lived literally 100 lifetimes in 1 year. And I haven't been other versions of myself, but I have rediscovered parts of myself that I had neglected, other parts of myself that I had subjugated, and I discovered parts about parts of myself that I had that I revealed, excavated parts of my being in the last year. But I'm really fucking tired, man. I'm tired in a way that's not a physical kind of tired. It's an emotional tired. It's an emotional tired and an energetic tiring energy. I'm very tired energetically. I've got my mother's house in Point Chevalier. I'm house sitting for a few days, which is a blessing, really. One of the big things about my year last year was that I was looking for house sits in the Auckland region for almost the whole fucking year, and every house that I applied for, every single one, I didn't get, which was really interesting. But I was also at a place of not sure where I was going with my life, where I was going to stay in Auckland, where I was going to move on. So I guess in that sense, that reverberation, that resonance of where I was at in my life, what was going on for me as I was moving through this experience of having literally been, I feel like I'm living 50 lives at once, or 50 lives, 100 lives at once in some way, energetically. That I just didn't know where I was and what was going on. So I guess in that sense I know in that sense that reverberation out to the universe and the unified field was going to give me back that patchy, messy kind of energy, was going to give me a response. It's like kirtan, like cosmic kirtan, the call and response. I was going to have reflected back in me that which I was pushing out into the world with my resonance. So I got offered a house sit this year in March and April, and the woman that offered me the house sit in March and April has basically ignored me for almost a month, and me trying to get hold of her about the house sit in Point Chevalier as well. And that's really the nature of, I'm ready to take a house sit till at least until April, May. I'm supposed to be going to Australia on May the 1st this year, moving back to Australia. At the moment, I can't even see past the end of my fucking nose, so the whole idea of moving back to Australia seems quite... I don't have the energy to even think about that at the moment. I really don't. And I have days where I fluctuate. My energy fluctuates from being, I'm riding this wave up, and then I'm sort of on the other side of it, and I'm starting to go down. I'm troughing. I'll put it that way, troughing. I'm troughing. I'm peaking, then troughing. And right now, I feel like I'm definitely troughing. And that could be the nature of a number of aspects and attributes of what's going on in my body. But I do feel like I've lived 50 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes in the last year, and that's so tiring. It feels like there's a confluence of all those lifetimes. If they are not linear, it feels like the confluence of all the lifetimes I've lived in that year, or in my entire existence, of all those timelines begin to merge energetically, beginning to merge. And that merging of all these timelines means that in some way there's a recalibration of my spirit, body, mind within this realm, and in every other realm as well. And that recalibration is like an alignment of all those lifetimes into one field of one single life. No, I'm not going to say, I don't like using the word timeline, but I will use it here because I can't think of another word that is applicable to this situation. It feels like all my lifetimes that are living consecutively in this moment are all coming together like strands of, like a Marvel movie, the strands of timelines of different universes are all moving and coming in and interlocking and becoming a single strand. and then moving forward. And it's fucking tiring energetically. Of course, the nature of the electrification of our planet in this moment, due to the nature of solar activity, electromagnetism, and the Birkeland currents which move through the cosmos, through our solar system and beyond, the electrical universe, those energies are moving, I feel as well, quite strongly through our field, through our realm. As a consequence of that, as well, if you're attuned to that, you feel it. You feel the trough. You feel the rises and the troughs. And I feel like I'm in a large, to some degree at least anyway. Some days I feel it more than others. Right now I feel it very strongly that I'm in this alignment. And by being in that alignment, I feel as though by attuning to the present moment, that I'm in the life stream of the planetary consciousness, the cosmic consciousness, and where we're going, moving forward in that energy. Today, I've had a very interesting day where I had a morning. I did some work this morning for a couple of hours, and then I had a dentist appointment to have a filling replaced, which was about 45 minutes. And after that filling being replaced, I was ready to go back to work, but my work situation didn't eventuate, so I decided to go to the sauna instead. When I was at the sauna, I saw a woman there that I actually don't know that well at all, a French woman, and no one does moody like the French, but she's beautiful, absolutely stunning woman. I've always found her very attractive and very enchanting, even though she's very hard to talk to. And she keeps to herself, so I respect that. And I felt sad. I felt sad that I knew that if I did my best to attempt to talk to her, that would probably be a violation of her space that she was creating for herself. She created for herself in that sauna. So I left it. I didn't say a word to her. Even though we've talked before many times, I just felt like I needed to give her a space and to be in her own space. So I didn't say anything to her, but I felt kind of sad. But in the same moment, I could feel my heart filling up, full of blossoming in that awe and that reverence and that respect for her as a woman. I don't really know her as a woman, and there's always been this tremendous feeling of, it's not sexual attraction, it goes well beyond that, attraction to her. And I felt into that, leant into it deeply. And as I did that, I felt this blossoming energy of like spaciousness, but also connectivity. As I left the sauna and left to go visit my employer at the moment, who I'm working for, I heard some news that kind of made me realize that once again, there are doors closing for me in my situation where what I'm doing here in Auckland, and it feels like as much as I move into a place of relaxation and lean into a situation in Auckland, and this has been my experience in the last year or so, leaning into experiences, leaning into community, leaning into connections and friendships, leaning into environments that I want to be in, community. The more I lean into them, the more I feel like that I can see and perceive and begin to comprehend that those energies, those temporary energies I'm leaning into, fulfill me on some level. And when they don't, it becomes so apparent to me that I have to relinquish them and make the space for something else to come in and fill the space that I've created. And that's what grace is, right? Grace is creating the space to allow God to come in and fill the space with something that you need in that moment. And that's my perception of what grace is anyway. So I feel this happening, and I feel this, what I'm experiencing in regards to my work situation, beginning to slip away from me. I have been offered another job somewhere else, which is interesting. The position I was offered was interesting, but there was no means at the moment for an NGO in New Zealand. I was offered a position in an NGO that just basically revolves around Pacifica and Maori. I like using that word, but tangata whenua, traditional values around agriculture, culture, spiritual conscious development, and incorporating those models of Pacifica and tangata whenua, people of the land here, the whenua being the land, tangata whenua, people of the land here, the native population here, incorporating those values in a spiritual sense into models within this NGO that helps agriculture, big industry, big agriculture, helps environmental agencies come to a place of more spiritual connection to the land and to the people, and therefore create a whole new paradigm, which sounds like really exciting and something I want to be a part of, but there's no money for this endeavor. So why would I get involved with the moment? For me, the idea of putting my energy and time into something like that without getting any kind of financial reciprocation, that's the right word, reciprocation, I don't have energy for it. I'm already giving enough of my energy to people in other ways, and I don't have the energy to be able to work for nothing. I did that for a whole year last year. I volunteered the whole year last year to help people out. And by doing that last year, what I experienced as well in Auckland was that a lot of people are very self-absorbed, and it's just my perception. And then by me helping and putting my energy into helping people, what I saw was people took a lot. One of my friends, Tabash, said to me last year in November, you give too much and people take too much because you give a lot. And people will see that and they're taking the piss. They're just taking rather than sharing, or they're not meeting you. So energetically, I've been depleted by that. So there's a reason why I'm also moving out of connections with people at the moment in January, February, and moving away from festivals, moving away from a lot of events, and not giving my time and my energy to a lot of events that I used to give my time and energy to last year, because I can see that when I do that, people ask for an inch, I give them an inch, they take a mile. I don't have energy for that. I want to recalibrate in a way that allows me to become clearer and become more concise in my actions and my movements towards what's best for me. And at the moment, a lot of stillness in my life, a lot of stillness, a lot of rest, a lot of recalibration. I know as I'm going through this rebirth process, right? As I feel all these timelines, these lifetimes all kind of moving into one single strand, and then the movement forward for this energy. But the sadness that I feel too at the moment, I feel kind of sad as well. I feel like this sense of sadness is coming over me on some level, because I don't feel lost because I'm very present, and in that presence I don't feel lost. I just feel like I'm in a void, this vacuum, this void of uncertainty. And David Icke, there's a really good expose on uncertainty in his books, and the trilogy, the reality trilogy. Coming to terms and being comfortable with uncertainty is a very powerful place to come to in your life, where you are present enough to be able to be comfortable with uncertainty and sit with it, and not push into places where you need to feel comfortable. And I've seen a lot of people over the last almost 2 months now, it's the middle of February, I've seen a lot of people who are not comfortable with uncertainty, and because of that, they'll gaslight you, they'll project onto you. And in the last week or so, I've seen a couple of people in my life I've had to block on my phone through messenger apps. I had to block a couple of people whose projections onto me were so extreme, and their judgments on my behavior and who I was, and the way I perceived reality was so extreme. I had to block them. It's just like, whoa, man, fuck, really intense. And that's been, I feel relieved that I had to do that, and I feel like it's, setting strong boundaries for yourself and looking after yourself. But in the same breath, man, it's you want to, I know that I want to create around me people that I'll create a friendship group of friends around me that support me and love me and see me and get me. Not people that project onto me or gaslight me. And like, fuck, man. And last week, it was a lot of gaslighting. I mean, of course, that's a reflection of where you're at and what you're experiencing in your life. It shows you where you're at, but also it's a mirror for you. It shows your shadow, right? People showing you parts of yourself that you have to deal with. You see yourself in those people and their behavior. I do, at least. Anyway, I see when someone gaslights me or projects onto me, I see myself in that individual. But I also set a hard boundary because I know now in my life that I won't tolerate that kind of behavior, nor will I do it to somebody else. But that's my shadow, right? That's my shadow. What's become really poignant for me in 2026 is doing body work, being more grounded, being clearer, and coming to a place where those aspects. I'm doing Bowen therapy at the moment, the body code work, massage, finding ways to ground the energy that's moving around me into my body, embody it, come to terms with it, be at peace with it, and sit with it, which is also a deep process, right? Sitting with that energy and allowing it to percolate into my being through my biofield. As a consequence of that, coming to terms with how that's affecting me and my attitudes. I've been quite vehement in my, where am I? Here I am. Quite vehement in my, put me over there. How does that look? Better? Yeah. Hang on. There. Here. I've been quite vehement in my boundaries, but also quite strong in my conviction around certain aspects of people's behavior, because I think that being accountable, my feeling is my own sense of accountability puts me into a place where I'm meeting people and experiencing people in my life that are anything but. And when you're not being accountable for what you create in your life, often you'll project, often you'll gaslight people, in my experience, to make yourself feel safe. So you'll project your bullshit or your sense of uncertainty, or you'll project in a way that allows you to feel like you're in control of a situation, of dialogue, of circumstance, of life in general. You'll find a way to attempt to control it if you're feeling uncertain and where you're moving forward towards, or if you've got real strong conviction around what you perceive to be the nature of reality. Like all the people I was talking to last week had this real strong conviction around the nature of their perceptions of reality. The gaslighting and the projection was just off the fucking charts, as I said before. But it's also comes back to this place of, lack of accountability, because when you're doing that and you're doing it and you're actually doing that to feel like you're in control of a situation, in my perception, that's the fear of it's paving the way for conflict, drama. And by doing that, you're looking to create to adhere to a trauma in your life, right? Often, in my experience, when someone creates drama or conflict, they've been triggered by it in some way to do that, or they're doing it for a reason to feel like they're in control in some way, or literally to vent their spleen or their anger in some way and project it out, rather than deal with it in a more a less conflicting and a less detrimental way. They're looking to express it in a way that's the opposite, debasing, nasty, mean, cruel, insensitive. And I'm seeing a lot of that kind of behavior too from people too. And I'm like, well, I need you to be held. I hold people accountable, including myself, especially myself, in a brutal kind of way. But I just won't tolerate. I won't tolerate people's behavior towards me like that. It's just not I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not a fucking welcome mat, that's for sure. And I'm not going to be gaslit by people or projected onto. And that's what I'm experiencing a lot as people don't move into the life stream. The energy that's coming into their biofields, for a lot of them, is literally frying their circuits and their nervous systems, and that fight or flight energy that moves through their nervous systems as this energy moves through the sympathetic nervous system and then charges them into a place where they have hormonal chemical responses to that energy. For them, it becomes more of a place where they need to feel a degree of safety in a time when it's the least in their least moments in their life they feel that way. So this is me. I'm tired, emotionally wrecked, energetically flatlining the trough, heading down, sliding down the trough after riding the wave from the middle of last week. Saturn-Neptune conjunction has been quite influential on my energy cycles and what I've experienced, what I've created. And I'm fully accountable for everything that I've created in my life. I'm fully responsible for everything I've created in my life. That's how it rolls, man. That's the foundation of my spiritual awakening process, is stepping up to go like, yep, I'm fully responsible for everything I create in my life. And that often can be a big jagged pill to swallow. And right now, I don't think it's stuck in my throat, but I think I did a good job of getting it down. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. Mateo, I'll see you again soon.